Hey guys, it's Miss Janelle again, and you are listening to the Soul Reconstruction Project. Today, I have with me another guest. Her name is Jessica Lauren, and she is a holistic wellness architect, and she has a podcast called Real Raw Mama that she started in 2022. Today, we're going to be talking about mother wounds, the nervous system, emotional imprints, and also healing and regulation skills to help us in this journey of reconstructing our soul. And hi, how are you?
I am so well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
So,
I'm so glad I met you. I don't remember how we met, but it was kind of like that click. Like, yep, we know we are supposed to connect in some way. So please tell the audience about yourself.
yes. Well, you mentioned the mother wound. That's kind of like the theme of really, actually, I think that's how we got connected is because I was posting in a podcast group about my journey of motherhood and how I launched my podcast. And I launched my podcast in 2022 after becoming a mother in 2020 during the pandemic. And then there
Mhm.
were like fires that came and ravaged the valley where I live in Southern Oregon. And so my journey of motherhood was very intense. And I didn't start off as a single mother, although I've come to learn that most women in whether they're in relationships or not are single mothers in my definition of the term, meaning that they are the ones responsible for holding everything emotionally, physically. I mean, yeah, the father of my son was constantly gone traveling, and we never really lived together, even though we rented a space together.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so he had his own home and he had another child. And that, so the dynamics were just, there was a lot going on, a lot of layers there. And I thought I knew what it meant to be a mother because I was the oldest of five. But when I became a mother, it became very clear to me that no one really knows what it's like to be a mother until you become one. And even then, everyone's journey of motherhood is so unique and varied. However, there are some there are there's threads that are similar in everyone's story. And so that's really how the mother wound, it was like a veil had become lifted from it was lifted from my eyes. And I just was like, wow, this is a deep wound on this planet that isn't specific to mothers. It's really specific to everyone because we all come from a mama. And it has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. And so I bring people on my show to share their unique perspective on what that means to them.
Yes, yes, you are right. Everyone comes from a mother. And that goes right into our next one, like the mother wound. What is it? How does it form? And why does it matter for men and women?
Well, so I call it the wound of creation, the wound of incarnation, the why the F am I here? Why did you bring me here? Why did I bring you here? It's the wounds that are passed down to children through unsupported mothers. It's the wound of being a mother on a planet that to me doesn't really honor the source of life and creation from where we all come. And more than anything else, it's the shunning of that deep feminine current of energy. Some people call it the Kundalini. It's that life force energy that flows within everyone and everything. It's that energy within you, that one that fully receives you as you are in every moment, no matter how you think or feel or act. And it's that unconditional love that when we come onto this planet, like our mother is supposed to be our like first source of like this love, this unconditional love. Um, and then we seem to on our journey ever looking for it outside of ourselves, which really on your journey, I've discovered it's only ever found within. So
Yeah.
it's that validation that we're constantly seeking elsewhere that really is only found within us. And so, yeah, that is that the mother wound to me. And it's not really meant to be, I think, like healed or scrubbed or cleaned or fixed. It's just like an awareness of what it means to be alive on this planet, to be in physical form, and to really just be on this journey of remembrance is really what I call it.
I love that. I'm just smiling the whole time because this is something that a lot of people need to hear, some really gentle talking that people need to hear. So, can you give us like some signs that someone might carry a mother wound?
Well, I think a lot of times it first starts with like all the self-criticism and the self-judgment,
Mhm.
which often spreads out to everyone else too. Because if you feel that way about yourself, then it often reflects in how you treat others as well. Um, and it shows up in so many different places, especially for women. I find that it's like the overgiving, the con not having any boundaries, because I feel
Mhm.
like I feel like our mothers are the first place that we learn our boundaries from. And oftentimes we didn't learn any. Like for me, I mean, especially if I look at my relationships with men, I lacked boundaries entirely and awareness of like what was okay and not okay with me, and really just a lack of connection to my body and my yeses and my nos.
Yep.
And so I feel like that is really one of the biggest places that the mother wound shows up for not just women, but women and men. But I find it especially shows up with boundaries for women.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I didn't realize that I had like no boundaries with like my mom, actually, and with people around me. And it just felt like once I was aware of that, it was like I always kept moving the boundary further and further based on how I felt about that person, how long I've known that person, if I knew what that person was going through. So all of those kind of qualities I had of being, giving people grace and being very kind and forgiving. And I'm not someone that hold a grudge, like, because it's like, well, another thing that I realize is that I only will treat someone the way I feel like they would treat me if I was in their shoes. So that was
mhm.
also another thing where I was just perceiving someone as who they would be if, I was their person, if the roles were switched in a way. So those things are a fantasy. Like you're making up projections and illusions in your head when you're doing that, and that is toxic for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, with my own journey with my own mother, I love my mother and we actually have a good relationship today. But I wasn't treated as a child the way that I would have desired to be treated.
Hmm.
Um, I was physically hit as a child. I would never do that to my son today. But also, the becoming a mother gave me so much compassion for my mother
Yeah.
and awareness of those moments when you might feel like hitting your child, but you choose not to, or just
Hmm.
like that extreme rage and intensity that comes with usually women who are having extreme hormonal like disruption. Like your hormones are all over the place after you have a baby. And most women aren't in an environment where they're actually supported, like truly
Yeah.
even if you do have a partner. And even if you have a partner isn't enough. Like we used to have villages, not in my
Yeah.
lifetime, but
Yeah.
probably not in many lifetimes, but in certain places on the planet, there are villages and tribes. And so, like, we're really designed to have the support of a tribe. And now we live such individualized lives that I think that's why partially this mother wound, different aspects of it have become so much more prevalent and why we have so many challenges on this planet. I truly think you can trace it all back to the mother wound is the lack of support and care for mothers on this planet, which is why if you go back in time, like matriarchal societies, which we don't generally talk about very much, like they thrived because they were centered around mothers and children. And not
Hmm.
that men were less than, but like that's what everything was centered around and everything flourished from there. And
Yeah.
we just don't see that today.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see where that switched, where that just started weaving into something totally different, and now we have what we have now. And something I want to bring up that we both can relate on is that I was pregnant in 2020, at the end of 2020, and then I had my baby in 2021. And so I had someone bring to my attention on my last recording actually that I know I missed out on things obviously, but I didn't really think about like you missed out on being able to take classes with other mothers, hang out with other mother friends. Like I missed out on way more than I even thought of. So, like, can you talk even more about that with your experience? Like, what you weren't able to do that I don't like know that you would have had been able to do, and it would have been helpful to your neural system, your body, and everything above.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember being in a state of survival constantly. Like, it took me years, and I read something recently that it takes a woman's body 7 years to fully recover from having a child, which, if you look at the way most women have babies, they have babies like 2, 3 years, sometimes even sooner
Yeah.
apart. My mom had 5 kids I was the oldest at 12. She'd already had all five of her kids. I had my son at 35, and my mom had all of her five kids by the time she was my age when I had my son. So, like, if you look at the experiences, it's like, wow, I couldn't even physically imagine like going through that. She did have a partner, of course. So, but I just, for me, feel like I missed out on like the sweetness of just feeling nurtured and cared for. I nursed my son. I breastfed him until he was almost 2 years old. But I remember towards the end feeling, yeah, thank you. No shame on any mama who's not able to do that or doesn't do that. I mean, it is so demanding. Like people don't realize it's like a full-time job, just the nursing part.
Yeah.
So, and it's like powering a whole nother brain. It's like if you actually do the research, it's like women are miracles, okay? Straight up. Like, thank your mama that you're here, that you're fed, alive, and well. And I just remember feeling so just like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Like, get the fuck off me. And not because I loved my son, and thankfully he was very easily like he cried one time after, and then that was it. Where I've known
Hmm.
other mamas who like really struggled with the weaning for, especially with little girls, I find maybe it takes longer. But I just remember feeling like so sad that I felt that way and
Yeah.
and other moments where I felt so much despair of just like I just wanted to disappear sometimes. Not like I would kill myself or anything like that. I just wanted to disappear
Hmm.
because I just felt so much overwhelm of being responsible for making food for myself all the time and then being responsible for when he started eating food, then I would have to make food and you're just like struggling to get through the day. And I know this doesn't just happen for single moms. I know this happens for moms across
Hmm.
all walks of life. And which is why I think it's so important that as mothers, we never compare our story with another mother and say she had it better or worse, or there's always better, worse, whatever. And you can't compare. Like when you compare, you lose. And so I just wish I had enjoyed more of the sweetness, especially the moments of like, I'm never going to have this moment again, you know?
Yeah.
Of
Yeah. I
like
definitely feel.
of whatever the moment is, of just savoring the moment more and feeling more held and supported.
Yeah, I think that took once I left the relationship I was in, that took a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of things I had to get over or just kind of move through, but one of them was this is something that everyone has known that I was going to be good at, that I was going to be a mom, and that I was like, I'm just that person all my mo most of my life. And when I had that experience and I realized it turned out, I don't like to say that it turned out so bad, but like it was not great. It was like really, really hard and not what I wanted. And that part of I was really into like, okay, my baby's growing inside of me and everything that I'm feeling and going through, she's also going to feel and all of that. So like that even made things worse, knowing that the things that were happening to me physically and emotionally and the things that she had to hear, I it really effed with my brain. So for like, that 7 years that you're saying, I think I'm on year 5 or 6 or something, but those years after I left him, it was really hard to come to terms with what had happened. And I didn't write about it. I didn't like read about it. Once I went to counseling, that was when I really realized like, oh, like this is something that's gonna follow me even when I am trying to have a happy mother and daughter type of feel. Like I am going to have these moments come up again where I feel like I lost something really big.
Yeah. Yeah, and and maybe even if you have the perfect story, maybe everyone has these moments, and that's what I try not to hold on to of just like that the experience was wrong or that it should have been different because we could spend our whole life wishing that anything in our life was different. And I think that's part of the mother wound too, is just that deep love and acceptance for what is,
Yeah.
all parts of you and all parts of your experience.
I kind of think of your word raw with the your podcast. Like it was a raw experience, one that like, it's gonna make me appreciate when I have my next experience so much more. Kind of like the my last episode, we talked about grief and loss and kind of how grief and joy play with each other very well. And that's how I feel about my next experience is now I'm aware of the things that I could have done, I wasn't able to do, that were lacking, whatever. And now I can focus on what I want. That's this reconstruction part of what I'm trying to do is like, yes, we are in a pummel of bricks right now, but how can we build? We're an architect. We are an architect. Um,
Yeah, I love that. How can we be better?
yes, yes. How can we make other people better? Like, instead of bringing them down and comparing, like how can we make everyone else better? And my focus is our children, because if we're really going to talk about they're the future, then what are we doing? Because so far our future is looking very bleak. So where are we going to start? Like where are we going to get? Where are we going to seek the help that they need? And being in the school system, that'll go on another tangent, but being in the school system really helped me realize what the kids need is not being met here anymore. Maybe never. But I do want to go into the next part of the nervous system and emotional imprints. So, how do you feel like the nervous system stores these experiences?
Yeah, it's interesting is I recently shifted and I catch myself, but I've shifted calling it the nervous system because I'm like, why do we call it the nervous system? Because it like literally sounds like it's about being
Yeah.
nervous, which as we know doesn't make like even when you say the nervous system, it just feels like you get like you tense up when you think about it. So I've been calling it the sensory guidance system because truly
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's our ability to sense and feel what is and isn't for us. And
Yeah.
it's also our signal to be like, hey, it's time to like really give attention to this system and to give it some support. And so, when you're mentioning like toxic relationships and your ex, and like, I, if I look at, and I haven't even been with that many men in actual intentional relationships, but the ones that I have given my time to, yeah, they were all based on like a karmic, chaotic connection
Hmm.
that was a very toxic connection that pretty much mirrored my childhood and the connections that I had made through my parents, which was that love was painful and that love came at a cost
Hmm.
and that you held on to it for dear life until it either killed you physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, or all of the above.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I had years of unwinding those patterns from my body because your body actually learns to gravitate towards those things as safety.
Yeah. Quotes, guys. Quotes. She put quotes on
Yeah.
safety.
And I've also learned that safety is something that is outside of us, whereas security is something that we create within ourselves.
Mm.
And so I'm far more intentional about how can I create security within my sensory guidance system versus how can I find safety outside of myself through others. And so, and also though, paying attention to when I am in another relationship, listening to the cues in my body, listening to the messages that my body is giving me about what this person is saying to me, how they're actually showing up, and paying attention to the red flags, the yellow flags, the orange flags that are already popping up,
Yeah.
and not dismissing those things. And I used to think that it took years to uncover that, and I just don't think that we live in that paradigm anymore. I think you can actually uncover those things really quickly, and you can do that first and foremost by reconnecting with your body. You don't
Yep.
have to spend years doing therapy and all these other things if you just start listening and connecting with your body.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you can. I know now that I know myself, that the last relationship I was in, was supposed to end within 3 weeks. And that's actually when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna not date, I'm gonna be celibate because I don't even know how to break up with a person. Someone that I know I should have broke up with like 2, 3 weeks in because I knew some core things like just were not matching. I was with him for 6 months. And it was just like like, bro, you're wasting time. Like, you start talking to yourself like, no, like, actually, it's you. You have to put that hard stop. You have to be your own security guard, or you will literally get people into the back in the club that's not supposed to be there, okay? Having a good old time, and all of a sudden you're not having a good time, and you're like, well, I mean, I can still make this work. Like, no, like if you have an expectation and you have figured yourself out, there's nobody that can be under that anymore. So it was like me being able to just be celibate also helped me like that energy or energy down there, like having that back was really grateful. I was grateful for that.
I mean, that's number one. Women don't realize your sexual energy is your life force creation energy. And when it is leaking out in other places, even if you have a partner, it's like so important to be aware of if it's actually adding value and magnifying your desires and your creation energy, or if it's actually leaking it out. Because I've watched so many videos with women recently who are, yeah, talking about being celibate for long periods of time and how much more powerful, creative, inspired, and like magnetic you become when you just keep your energy and cycle it back into yourself.
Yep, yep, exactly. Okay, the last theme, healing and regulation. So, like moving toward repair and balance. And we're right in that conversation right now. So, for mothers, what does healing the mother wound actually look like? What are some things that you do? Like, I would assume, like reparenting yourself that you would do to help in that wound.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, first and foremost, I think it's so important to just reconnect with your body. Because for me, as a child, I feel like I was constantly leaving my body because I was in pain, whether physical pain, emotional pain. And so it was like I was finding ways to mask the pain. Or as I got older and I left my abusive first relationship, then I drowned myself with alcohol for years. So I find so many women, trying to look for things to numb themselves from the pain. And I say go into the pain. And so I use tantric dance every day. I really connect with my womb space, which is a space that I feel like it's where all of our life force creation energy comes from. And we're so disconnected from it as women in general. And so I really reconnect with my womb space on a daily basis through tantric dance, which that could be just a 2 minute song. Like if you literally
I
just
love
tune
dancing.
into that space and like dance, I mean, that alone can do so much in shedding layers. And yeah, I think it's really important to parent yourself the way that, and I don't even know if I even like the word parenting anymore. I'm just like, my friend actually co-wrote a book with a woman called Stop Parenting. And it's about stop projecting your desires and what you want your child to be like onto your child
Hmm.
and really just allow them to flourish and grow. And so I would say the same for yourself is stop projecting the ideas that you have around how you should live your life and how you should be, which usually are probably coming from other people and society and all these things that are not truly you. And just allow yourself to like evolve and flow and grow in the moment that you're in and just really tune into your body. So I utilize Kundalini yoga, which Kundalini yoga, a lot of people get weird about what is Kundalini yoga. To me, it's about the nervous system, it's about the meridian energetic fields in your body and your aura. It's about clearing your aura and getting really clear on your desires and opening up space for everything that truly is meant for you to actually arrive.
Hmm.
Because everything is already out there. All of your possibilities and desires, they already exist. It's just like, do you have the space for them to actually live in your realm? So I work a lot with just my own energy and I spend a lot of time alone, which I actually really love as a projector in human design.
Yeah.
That's like my design is to be a hermit. And not everyone's like that, but I get a lot of energy just through really just tuning into my body and what I really desire and need. And I feel like that's so important for mothers, especially because we're taught to be like these self-sacrificing individuals,
Yes. Hmm.
caregivers for life.
The person with all
And
the hands.
yeah, and it's like that's great, but that's only one aspect of the mother. The mother, like she is everything. She is the light, she's the dark, she's the storm, she's the nurturer, she's fierce, she's a protector, she's all these things. And so I just really say create space for all of that within you. Allow all of you to be welcome.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And yeah, I used to not like being by myself. And I feel like that was one of my addictions, was always being at a party, always being with a group of people, always, even from a young age when I wasn't comfortable with what was going on at home and I was living a double life. I just wanted to be out with the sports and the bands and like just doing everything so I didn't have to deal with it. And now I love being alone. I love going places by myself. And even though, especially when spending time with your daughter, 99% of the time when I do get those breaks, it does feel like a door opens. Like, whoa, like I've never been this type of person before and been alone. Like that kind of feeling, like it's being that whole soul reconstruction, like feeling like a new person. And another thing you mentioned that kind of made me think of this was that during most of my life, I felt like my inner child was dormant. And now that she is open to work with me and coming out of her shell, like that also feels like a whole nother person, like having that person with me. And someone I spoke to recently, they said that they have a picture of themselves as a baby, kind of as a motivation to kind of keep them going during the day. And I was like, oh my God, one time I did cry looking at a baby picture of myself, like, what I would say to that little girl and how I would parent, but not parent, but like how I would have been a nurturer to her.
Yeah. Yeah, curiosity and playfulness. And I say if I can approach everything in life with curiosity and playfulness, because I feel like most of my childhood, I don't really remember being happy. Although I know we choose to remember probably the darker moments in our
Yes.
life
Hmm.
than the happier ones. Because I know my childhood had some happy moments for sure. It definitely did. But as the oldest of five, with parents who fought a lot about money and different things, and I just remember feeling like the weight of the world on my shoulders a lot as a child. And so I've carried that into my life, into my
Hmm.
adult life. And so I have to consistently remind myself curiosity, playfulness, like remind yourself to be playful. Like
Yeah.
children, I look at my son, I'm just in awe of how like nothing is ever that big of a deal to him. It's just like he just is always curious and playful about everything. So I'm
Yeah.
like, please keep reminding me.
That was one of my questions that you kind of answered, like how important are certain things in the healing journey? My question was about like self-compassion, but it's very similar to that too, like having those type of feelings for yourself that we're not normally used to as we've grown up as these last 20, 30 years. Those are things important. That's why I love affirmations. I love just having different types of self-talk because I remember specifically not talking to myself well at all in college. And that was my downfall. Like anytime like you're not able to even talk to yourself in a positive way, how do you expect to go far? How do you expect to go far?
Yeah, it's so true. I have I sit I jump on my little rebounder trampoline outside every morning and I stare at the sun when the sun comes out and I do my affirmations then. I'm going to removing words like need and want because need and want come from lack, but I intend to do more mirror work, which I used to do a lot more of, which is to really, when you get up in the morning or throughout the day, whenever, just like every time you pass by a mirror, to like truly look at yourself in the eyes and to really just speak to yourself with love and care. Because that is still something that I struggle with is just like the self-image of like, Jessica, like I really love you just the way you are.
Hmm. The movie yesterday, Self-Help, is that no, Send Help with Rachel McAdams, and she does this really like weird thing, but not it's weird for her because she's freaky in the movie, but it's something where she like talks to herself after she's kind of being bullied in the workplace. She like looks in the mirror and she's very intense and turns into like a different person and goes like, you're amazing and all you need is yourself. Like it was like kind of amazing. And I'm like, that kind of stuff is works. Like I know that in the movie they're kind of trying to show it in a way that might be like kind of weird or like freaky for her, but it's like people should do that. People should do those type of things.
Oh, it's
And I
true.
definitely want to encourage like kids to do those kind of things too. Maybe not, changing how you look and acting like it's a totally different person, but like self-talk is so important. It really is. And you have to mean it too. And that's hard for some people to get that, connection between meaning it for themselves because they're so used to what they've been told.
Yeah, you know, I have a thing that I do with my son. He actually reminds me more because I sometimes forget. In the morning and at night, we say 3 times, I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. I
That was
am who
very
I am.
close to, I think, what she said. It was very something like I'm enough with like what I have. Like, and she was the best in the company, but people just treated her wrong. So that's another point of everyone, like your audience doesn't have to be the judge of your life and the judge of your decisions. And, if you are truly within your soul recognizing who you are, you can make these decisions on your own. And I just came to this realization. I'm 31. I turned 32 this year, and I feel like just a couple years ago, it actually dawned on me like I don't have to ask these people for their true opinion and make my decision based off of what they believe because I don't even believe what they believe. So it's like people think you're like a different person, but it's like I'm just really coming into who I never envisioned myself being. I never trusted myself to be authentic, especially with the choices I made. I didn't trust myself, and then people made me not trust myself either.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's all of the programming, all of the conditioning, all of the layers that just get built upon each other until you realize it's like, oh, I'm kind of like an onion. I'm just gonna keep peeling off these layers until I like get to the core of who I truly am and what I truly
Hmm.
desire. And you know what? Who you are and tr what you desire, even shifts over time. And that's the cool part is that we're like these light beings who like are ever evolving and changing and shifting and shape shifting in every moment, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. One thing I didn't want to end without asking you about, because I want people to know this, because I didn't know about it. The pole and the yoga. How can we get a
Yes,
pole and
yeah.
do
Well,
some
and you
yoga?
know what? It kind of actually goes with that like identity because we have a pole, our energetic pole within ourselves that we can always return home to.
Hmm.
And uses our guidance system for what is and isn't for us. And so I actually was introduced to this practice it was about a year ago, actually. And then I went and visited this woman in Costa Rica. She's a dear friend, Genesis, who I actually met. It's so interesting. I have met some of the most amazing people online, similar to you, where I'm like, I've known people for years and then I'll get to actually meet them in person at some point. And they become such like amazing friends for years. And so I went to Costa Rica to visit her where she was living at the time. And she developed this app called Holistic Yoga. Her name is Genesis, and she developed this practice with its 52 poses centered around a pole. And she developed these poses with a female chiropractor. So it's specifically designed to align your spine and to restore balance in your body. And I'm telling you, and especially for mamas, for the pelvic floor, it's like, wow, amazing. And just in general, for women, I find that it's the most profound practice you can do in 5 or 10 minutes a day. And it will
Hmm.
give you, talk about confidence. It will re-establish the confidence that already exists within you, just like reminding you of all of these places that already live within you that are like propping you up, just waiting for you to remember.
Yeah, yeah, it really
Um,
is that
and I
remembrance,
do
that
dance with
becoming.
it sometimes, but mostly I use it for yoga.
I would too. I would too. Like, I'm just glad that it has another, reason for it. So I could tell people when I get one, like, yeah, I do it for yoga. Oh,
My son is amazing at it. He can climb up it. He does twirls on it. I'm like, damn, dude.
well, Jessica, it's been so great talking to you. And I want people to be able to find your podcast because I'm going to hopefully be on it soon. We're going to have another
Yes,
great
coming up
discussion.
in a couple of days.
Yes, and then also where to find your website, your social media links, because I feel like this is you have a special art that people aren't searching for. They don't know how much they need it. And there's like a different type of idea. Other people have a different idea of what aura and all of those kind of things mean, and they don't know how much they actually need to connect with it. So where can we find you?
Thank you. Yes. Well, I I know Facebook isn't like the most popular place to be, but I actually have a lot more connections on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, you can find me there under Jessica Lauren Atchison. On Instagram, you can find me at Real Raw Mama. It's spelled MOMMA.com or not dot. Well, I have at Real Raw Mama is my Instagram, and you can actually go to realrawmama.com to get on my subscriber list for my podcast. You can find me on Spotify, iTunes, all the places for Real Raw Mama. Up Level My Life is kind of the second iteration of my podcast. And then you can also go to my website, embracewhoyouare.com, because I'm all about, yeah, just embracing every part of yourself. And really, I want to share one more thing. So, RAW stands for in my podcast being real and raw and authentic. And also, it stands for an acronym that I borrowed from a book by a man named Matt Kahn. He wrote a book called Everything is Here to Help You. And I read this book, I think it was in 2018 or 2019. It was 2018, I think. And in this book, he talks about the three um, basically, the three actions of ego are worry, anticipation, and regret.
Mm,
And those spell the acronym WAR.
wow,
And when you
yeah.
reverse that by lovingly integrating your ego into your soul instead of shunning your ego or pushing it aside, you get raw, which is respecting the one and all, acknowledging that everyone and everything is perfect in the present moment while welcoming life on its precise terms and conditions. And so, as you know, as a mama, that's like when you become a mama, that's like everything.
Yeah, yeah, wow. I'm today years old. I love that. I'm gonna look that up and I'm also gonna put in the description those two books that you gave us too, because I want to check out that second one for sure. I love that. I love that switching of the words and I love acronyms too. So that's just
Yeah, it
also my
helps you
thing.
remember things more. So I always
Mhm.
try to remember, like, in every moment, it seems like it could always be wrong. And what if everything is a gift?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Jessica. And thank
Yeah,
you
thank
guys.
you. So much
Yes.
gratitude.
Thanks. And thanks everyone for listening, and I hope you have a great day.